Do all my ladies in the chat understand that you have a lot of laws in your favor, a lot of power in your hands? Yes? When you're talking about the power to choose life, the power to choose condoms, the power to use prophylactics, the power to use sponges and what do they call it? Abortions and safe haven laws that you can give your kids away, adoptions, all of these methods, and you avoid everything, including abstinence, which is also an effing option. Abstinence. We avoid all of these things. And then you get to a point where you had a kid and then avoid the safe haven, you avoid adoption, you avoid all of that, and still turn around and say that the man who gave you the semen is the problem, when in all actuality, you could go down to the sperm bank and go pick you up a tube of that stuff and still have a kid without a man actually being present. So it's beyond me the fact that we have this level of when you try to hold women accountable. And I'm going to say it just as plain as that. It's ridiculous that we don't have women en masse who are going and excoriating people like this. Women have to excoriate their own because they're not listening to me. And I'm sorry, they're just not. I know of very few women that would take leadership from a man, but they will from a woman. So at the point that we are in this society, they're not really listening to us. It would be up to the women to hear it from a good source like myself. I think I'm a pretty decent source as a father, as a man, as a responsible person, or trying to be a responsible person, to say, here's what we need to do to make this thing better. When you see these young girls, these young women, and maybe I don't know if y'all are afraid of them because they are not afraid to fight and shoot and stab and run people over with cars and stuff. But I'm sorry, maybe some of y'all need to be out on the front lines and you know what? Maybe take some of these verbal jabs, some of this vitriol that they have, and course correct them, because they're going in the wrong direction and they don't believe in any level of accountability. Can I give y'all a political example? Because I was watching Stephen A. Smith, and shout out to him in this podcast. Maybe everybody don't like him from SportsCenter or whatever, but I do, from ESPN. I like Stephen A. Smith. I like to hear what he has to say. I don't always agree with his politics, and more times than none, I don't agree with his politics at all. But I wanted to point something out, because he's forever trying to help black people. If y'all haven't noticed how many black people have been hired on ESPN since he's been there, it's a pretty high number. So shout out to him and what he does. He actually recently was just trying to simply call out to, what's her name? God, her name just slipped my mind. Jasmine Crockett. If y'all don't know who Jasmine Crockett is, you can look it up. This is all kind of related to accountability. We're talking about accountability. And all he said is, if the way that you're going isn't in the best interest of your constituents, then why are you going in that direction? Couldn't you do something better? Couldn't you change something? Couldn't you be a little more better in what you're, a little more effective in what you're doing? And she turned around and asked for this man's entire platforms, plural, to be canceled. Just because he asked a question, couldn't you do it a better way? Couldn't you be more effective? That was her response. Cancel him. How dare you tell a black woman how to do things? And I use that example, and I'm like, you know what? I'll think about it. Now that I think about it, now that I really think about it, isn't that how the majority of these irresponsible bitchs, ain't that how they respond? Right? We're not talking about the good ones. We know it ain't all of y'all. It ain't all Judge Jay. We's got some good mothers out there, y'all. It's too freaking many. This one person had access and abused 3 children, and I think actually there was a 4th involved with this one, if I'm not mistaken. That's 3 human lives that she almost completely ruined. So for each of these individuals to be attached to so many children, it is detrimental. If we're talking about Black Lives Matter, since we're going to keep it on the black skin color, which I believe it does, then all of these situations matter and accountability has to happen, because if you can't change it here, you can't change it there. If you're not changing it there, it's not going to change in their actions. They don't see anything that they're doing wrong because their entire lives, they have never been held accountable by anybody. Maybe some of these women weren't raised with a father to instill some accountability, some balance. So if you're only raised by a woman, then it just becomes her dominion, her word, her world, her way. And more times than none, if that mother has another focus of trying to find a man or keep a man, she generally don't want her young daughters, her young budding daughters around, because that might interfere with the man's attention. Therefore, a lot of these women end up leaving the house and trying to be up under somebody else who's going to take care of them, generally a man, way before they're supposed to. So they end up doing a bunch of stupid shit. This is how I use these stories as cautionary tales, to literally point this out and show you guys, how do we get here? How do you get to this house full of literal crap and be abandoned for this long and nobody finds out? You got a bunch of fathers that maybe aren't checking on their kids. I'm assuming she has more than one baby daddy, right? Don't know it for a fact, but statistics tell me that these broads love to just take semen and raw semen from whatever man that they allegedly are in a relationship with, or maybe just being situational ship with. And they end up having multiple kids by multiple men. So you got multiple men out there. If you know these men already ain't shit, then why do you deal with them? Why do you get pregnant by men who ain't shit, who haven't proven themselves financially or responsibly to be good parents? I just really don't understand that mentality. There has to be something about a man. You know, even if I could be talking to myself, I haven't been the most responsible person, but I can see what my daughter and my son's mother saw in me. They at least saw some level of common sense and somebody who seemed like they might be a good father. Whether you were right or wrong, I guess you would have to ask the kids that. I'm not claiming to be a great father. I'm claiming to be an all right father. So even if that's the case, then why do we continue to keep going to these sources for bad results? That's beyond me.